Alright guys, we're going to review the next episode of Agatha All Along. This will be episode 7. This one is one of the higher rated episodes for Marvel on Disney+. I found it closer to the boring side than the entertaining side. Now, don't get me wrong, I did like this episode. There wasn't anything that I thought was bad or cringy or unnecessary. A lot of it was honestly predictable in the end. So, in this episode, we start off with Billy and Agatha. They find the next location of where to go, and they sort of have these classic villain outfits. And as they're playing tarot, the swords are coming down, and the ceiling is slowly descending. And so, once this gets started, they essentially just have useless banter. The rest of the story is for Lilia and Jennifer, where they are. They wake up. We realize they are, in fact, still alive, as we've predicted. And for this episode, what made it interesting, the interesting part of this episode, is Lilia, all of her visions are sort of coming together. And all the things she's spouted randomly throughout the series are all sort of puzzle pieces that are now coming together. We're now seeing the complete puzzle, and she's seeing from her past and present. So she's seeing everything connecting. And so this part was interesting because they sort of get to reuse scenes from earlier in the series to sort of wrap up what all of it means, essentially. And so as she and Jennifer are trying to figure out what's going on, while Jennifer's trying to get out of Witch's Road, she realizes that she can go home, but she decides to stay with Lilia because Lilia wants her around. And so they eventually get to the same room that Billy and Agatha are in, and Lilia starts playing the game to ask Billy questions. She's assuming that this challenge is for Billy, but we also realize that this is actually meant for Lilia as she sees through her visions. And so ultimately, she ends up playing the game for herself and completes it, opening the next door for the rest of the crew. And at this point, we get a glimpse of another confirmation from another character. We now realize that Rio Vidal is in fact Death herself. And so now that we have Death a part of the series, I think it's going to bring out some really interesting features for the finale. As far as I'm concerned, I think the next 2 episodes are airing the same day, and it's going to be the finale, so I guess it's a 2-part. I would be surprised if the first one's a random standalone and then the next one is the actual finale, but either way, at this point, not only is the Witch's Road, I think that will be concluding the finale, but I hope they set up the rest of where the characters are going next, because that's what I'm interested in. That's what I want to see more of. And so, now that we know Rio is Death, and Agatha has a past with Death, I think it's going to make things interesting for whether or not she made a deal for her son. We don't know if she made a deal trying to bring him back. Nicholas Scratch, we don't know if she made a deal with Death to bring her son back, but it just came to rabbit form. We don't know if Death is going to have any relations with Thanos in the MCU or has had relations with Thanos. So I think this just opens up a lot of possibilities, and unfortunately, Funko sort of spoiled the surprise a little bit ago, revealing that Teen is Wiccan and that Rio is Death. But I also took those rumors with a grain of salt. It's nice to see that the rumors were true, because I think it was interesting, and these were good character choices for this actor and this actress. But to see confirmed, I think it just opens up quite a bit for later. So as we wrap up this episode, while Jennifer, Agatha, and Billy go off to the next part of the Witch's Road, they also realize now that Rio is Death. So everyone's caught up to speed. Lilia actually stays behind. She knows that Death is coming for her, pun intended, as she mentioned in the episode, but we don't see Death show up to take her life. She ends up using, she switches gravity so that she's going to go up toward the swords, because the Salem 7 have now caught up to the crew. And the Salem 7 are going to now die to the swords. And honestly, it wasn't really all that graphic. They just showed some blood, I guess. So this was not toward the horror themes at all. But we finally finished off Salem 7. Lilia dies in this scene. And so her story comes full circle, but we also get yet another casualty of the road. And so, as far as these next two episodes are confirmed, it's not looking good for Jennifer. Every other side character has perished on the road. So, things aren't looking good for her, but we'll see what ends up happening. So we'll see what goes on with the finale, guys. I think there's a lot of interesting things that could come about it. But for now, there's really not much else to say about this episode. Like I said, it was Agatha and Billy with their banter for a while until Lilia shows up to take care of everything. And so I found that closer to the boring side because Lilia is a fascinating character, but overall, the different things she said throughout the series, it just became borderline confusing. So at the end, I'm glad they wrapped up her story, and we'll see what goes on next. I hope Billy can find Tommy in the finale. I think Visions of Wanda or something, if she's going to come back, I think it would be in this finale. So even though this episode was closer to the boring side for me, I am very excited for the finale. We'll see what's going on. I'm excited. Let me know if you guys watched this episode, what you guys thought of it. Let me know in the comments, and as always, I will see everyone next time.